Okay. My name is Stacy Gardner, and I live in St. John's, Newfoundland, which is the most eastern province in Canada. It's an island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And there is a very robust filmmaking community here, which probably one might find surprising. But even this summer, I did a little work on a Netflix film that's still shooting here, that's starring Josh Hartnett and Charlie Heaton from Stranger Things, and recently been working on a movie of the week that's being directed by another local film director, Christian Sparks. So it's a busy island with a lot of talent and a lot of people who are writers, poets, actors, playwrights. It's maybe that's what people do on islands when they find themselves somewhat isolated. They become much more creative, maybe. Um, so how I got started, so the film that is part of your festival, which I'm so grateful for, is called 73 Seconds. And it's based on a day in the life of a 13-year-old at school. And it's on the day that the Space Challenger had met its end through a rather, horrific explosion after 73 seconds of being in flight. In yeah. How I got started. Well, in filmmaking is fairly new. Um, I really only got started. Uh, as a writer, I've always been a writer. So, and then I've been published as a poet, and then I've also worked in as a playwright. So I've had theater in Toronto, Ontario, also in Canada, and here in Newfoundland. Um, and usually the theater that I like to express myself through is social justice themes. Um, and I don't know if it's that different for my then move into filmmaking. I think with 73 Seconds, it was a poem that I had written first. Um, but I always felt it was a film. And I think I just had to meet the right person, who is my producer on the film, Vida Nairn, who was here in St. John's, Newfoundland. She's Lithuanian by descent, but now just moved to Scotland 2 weeks ago to Edinburgh to do a filmmaking program at the University of Edinburgh there. So I met her because she kind of found her niche in filmmaking when she moved here in 2018, I believe she moved here. And her and I kind of met over virtual Zoom workshops during COVID. And we were following each other on Instagram. And she was doing a lot of stills photography for productions and theater, and hadn't yet made a film, but was moving towards that. And so she got in. There's a lot of really supportive programs here through the Newfoundland Independent Film Co-op. And so they offer programs such as First Time Filmmaker. And then for 73 seconds, they have a program called Picture Start. And if you get accepted, you have to create you have your script, have your director's vision, have your team in mind. And because she'd already made a couple of films and she was interested in collaborating with me, she was able to find me good people to help, work on, well, both the first film, The Gaze, which is a short documentary about a South Korean painter that lives here in Newfoundland. And then the second film, 73 Seconds. Um, so yeah, originally it was a poem and I would talk to her about it. And I said, I really see this as a film. I've always felt it was really cinematic. And she said, well, let's do it. Let's figure out how to do it. So, yeah, so that's kind of how it started. It's all been fairly recently new, and I've been very fortunate with how actually both the first and the second film has seemed to be finding audiences, and I'm really, really grateful. So, yeah.
Dude. Oh,
Yeah,
good.
I mean, the truth of the matter is how we got inspired initially is that it was a writing prompt that someone used the word rocket, and it just put me back into my memory of that day because it's not based on anything I personally experienced, but I have a memory of how important that day was. And it was pre-internet, pre us being exposed to any other realities, so that therefore what we did see was the truth, because now we're living in this AI world and it's completely unreliable. And so it would have been the first time that kids in schools all over the world, because it was such an investment, because there was a teacher that was involved and she kind of won the lottery to be the teacher in space, to teach from space. So there was a lot of universal around the world investment that an ordinary person got to, become an extraordinary visitor in space and being able to teach her students from there. So it was more than just astronauts taken off to explore. There was something that had an element of humanity and hope. And so I the word rocket put me back to that time. And the poem is different than the film. I mean, in the poem, it's the boy that is somewhat of the bully.
Mhm.
And whereas in the film he's not. Um, and the poem, I guess, after I had written it, it just kind of, I mean, and maybe that's just poetry, because poetry um has a way of punctuating the senses. It has a way of engaging our sensibility around, touch, taste, sight, smell, the things that we are probably less and less inclined to be attentive to. And I find poetry distills things down to their very essence. And I felt like I wanted to make a film the same way. I wanted the film to be very much how a poem is experienced, with sort of things just happening in moments where they're felt and are juxtaposed between um, what you see and what you feel and what you hear, and this sort of reaction to it. Um, yeah, so I would say, that's the inspiration for the film. One or two stories on set. Well, I mean, the thing is, when you're working on a budget,
Yeah.
on a limited budget, you do things that for the good of your film, and sometimes at the expense of yourself.
Hmm. Yeah.
So the scene where she goes into her sister's bedroom and steals that particular item, I don't know how much I'm supposed to be sharing here, um, is that's here in my house.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's so it meant I had to have a big crew of people here in my house moving around. It's, then everybody leaves and you're like doing touch-ups.
Hmm.
All the equipment. And also the caterer for 73 seconds is my neighbor that lives like a few doors down. And she is an amazing chef, and she doesn't cater films, but this was her first film that she catered. And she did a fantastic job. And She also kindly offered the bedroom of her house for it to be the main character's bedroom at the start of the scene.
Okay.
So, we graciously put her up into a hotel for the night so that we could dress that room and then the next day. So, it really is like this whole village idea.
Mm.
I'm all about sort of like, what's her name? Um Palmer. What's her name? Amanda Palmer, or like The Art of Asking. I'm always about just ask. Like the
Mm.
worst somebody can say is no. So, I think I had like 14 parking permits for my street. I just went around and asked neighbors, like, hey, making a film, would really love, like, gonna have crew trucks here. And I got 14 parking permits just from neighbors that said, here you go. So, put scotch tape, put some tape on each of one, which address they belong to.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and in terms of set stories, I mean, it's interesting because obviously I feel I'm a constant learner, and I certainly don't feel that I am a filmmaker who is going into this with a rigid idea about what I want, and it's to be this way. I'm very receptive to feedback, and I worked with my a director of photography, Duncan DeYoung, and he's wonderful, and he works on a lot of shows that shoot here, St. Pierre, Hudson and Rex, Son of a Critch, and so I very much trusted a lot of his offerings when he felt that a shot didn't feel like it was going to work, or he saw something and thought, oh, that moment where she's in the cubicle in the bathroom and it's the back of her feet. That was something he offered up. And I love that. I love being able to be open to ideas of people who are working with you, and ultimately everybody wants the best outcome, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so I mean there's no horror stories. There's one great story actually about my set designer. I
Mhm.
didn't know her before,
Okay.
and she came into my house because she wanted to assess, knowing that she
Mm.
would have to do some dressing. And this is wild. So I lived in Toronto, Ontario for 22 years, and I moved to St. John's, Newfoundland in 2013. When I moved here, I came with a piece of artwork that I had bought many years before in Toronto. I had it on my wall. I loved it. It's a charcoal print of a girl back on looking out into this vista of mountains and water. And it's geographically, it's placed on the west coast of the island in Grossmore National Park. And the only color in this print was the color of the girl's hair and her striped tank top. And she reminded me back on of me when I was, a young gal. And so I just fell in love with it because again, it was beautiful. I love not always seeing the faces, but instead like the back of a person and what they're looking out into, and perhaps introspectively what they're feeling inside when they're looking out. And so I have this on my wall, and I'm in my kitchen doing whatever. The art designer is walking through my house, and then I hear almost like a shriek, like almost like, where did you get this? Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, what? So I come into the living room and she's standing in front of this artwork. It's hers. She was the artist.
Okay.
Shows me her name. I'm going, oh my God. She said, I can't believe this. Yeah, she didn't even know the prints were still out there. And it
Mm,
was kind of her father that initiated it years ago when she lived in Montreal. And so, all of those moments were very serendipitous.
mm,
And yeah, it all kind of added up to the magic
mm, mm,
that, I lived in a city of millions, moved to a small place on an island
mm.
and had this picture forever in Toronto. And then the artist herself comes into my house to help me make my film.
Yeah.
It's just- absolutely. I think you have to find community. Community. I believe in community for everything. I believe in community and helping us get through these very weary times in the world. I believe in community in our effort to create and make something. And I truly believe that people ultimately want to help other people. And I think you have to be, I think you have to no matter how old you are, because I am older. This is not like I'm in my 20s and I'm starting out. This is like the last frontier after having worked with the pen on paper or worked in theater. I guess it's really important to allow yourself to believe that there's no time limit. There's no like, oh, well, if you don't do it by this time, then you can't. Or if you can't, I just think as long as you're alive and your brain is burning with ideas and your heart is fluttering with passion, and I think you just need to know one person who is connected to something, establish your relationship.
Yeah.
That person will help you find other people,
Yeah.
and then it'll organically, you will attract the people who are meant to help you with whatever it is that you want to create ultimately. It's really about relationships.
I totally agree. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so my biggest tip is take workshops. If there's something that you can sign up for and learn from, whether it's filmmaking class or it's a weekend workshop or it's whether it's virtual. I mean, I like in person
Mm,
for from a learning perspective. But I don't think it really matters. I think that you have to find ways to be a learner
mm,
and you have to give yourself room to meet new people and to come at it as a beginner and be curious.
mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
always
I,
being curious. It's a win-win situation, and you never know who's gonna find out who's gonna yeah, you're gonna find an opportunity basically, and to
yeah,
grow again and again,
yeah,
and yeah, it's a win-win situation. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Because if you leave yourself open,
yeah,
you're open. It means things can get in. But
yeah.
if you
True.
if you're feeling like, oh, I don't know, or naturally we all feel insecure sometimes, or we feel we have imposter syndrome, like who am I to be a filmmaker? What do I think? Who do I think I am? And all this stuff. I mean, I think it's okay to give yourself permission to be um insecure because I think that's all part of it. But it's also more important to say the insecure stuff is normal. Uh which is why you need people even more to help minimize that alone voice. Because being alone with your thoughts versus meeting people that you can collaborate with eventually drowns out a lot of those kind of doubting voices that can sometimes keep you small and not as brave to just feel like, you know what? I belong as just as much as anybody else in this particular scenario or class or workshop. I'm here to learn and here to make connections. So
Yeah.
I think that's where it's important to just stay open, meet people, and learn. Oh Lord. Uh, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I have an answer for that because uh I think my taste is always changing, or it's improving. It's evolving. Um, oh my goodness, a series. Um, like sometimes I watch things that I enjoy because I enjoy watching it with my son. There may be things that in order to spend time with him,
Mhm, mhm,
I will accommodate certain shows that I probably are not my taste, but then my affection for them is organically through his experience with it. And so, that could be anything from Umbrella Academy to Stranger Things to uh, Only Murders in the Building, you know, certain some Marvel stuff. So there's that element of where I again it's like leaving yourself open. It's like, oh, this is not what I would choose, but
mhm.
I'm choosing it based on my proximity to what he would like to watch. And so therefore it's like bonding stuff. Um and then my own personal, oh my goodness. I mean, um like I loved watching The Queen or The Crown. I love watching Downton Abbey. I love watching The Midwives. I love watching um Margaret Atwood's God, what's it called? The world that we're living right now.
Um,
Um
Many titles, and
I know. I'm trying to see if I have her book here on my it's The Handmaid's Tale.
yeah. Mhm,
Um, and Breaking Bad,
mhm,
um, which I thought was phenomenal. Um, what else? Dead to Me, which was something I only recently watched actually, because I wasn't aware of Christina Applegate's work, and I was looking for something that wasn't going to be too demanding. But I ended up really liking it. And I thought her acting really just blew me away. And I was really surprised because I didn't know her as an actress. I only knew stuff like when I was younger and I didn't watch it. It was like Married with Children. I never watched it. So I kind of typecasted
yeah.
her in my own head. And then I watched this and I thought, oh my goodness, like she's amazing. So, I was glad to be surprised and yeah, again, that teaches you how sometimes we can be a bit short-sighted in terms of our own thoughts around certain work or yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like a lot of stuff in terms of TV. Like those are off the top of my head. Oh, I love Fleabag. Yeah, that was good. I love Fleabag. And the Ripley series, the new one on the one that was based on The Talented Mr. Ripley with
Yeah. Uh,
that wonderful actor from the UK.
yeah, yeah. Not with the American one. Yeah, Jude Law and Matt
Yeah, that's
Damon. Matt.
right. That's the movie. That was Philip Seymour Hoffman,
Yeah, yeah.
and Jude Law, Gwyneth
Yeah,
Paltrow, which was a
yeah,
great film.
yeah.
Uh, but that was like so long ago. So Ripley is the one that's on Netflix with
Uh,
oh my God, that actor. He was also in Fleabag. He was the priest. And he's a great theater actor over there.
and so on and so on.
And so on and so on. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm, okay.
If I could afford to stay home and watch something every day, I probably would.
Yeah, me too. Some popcorn and
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because sometimes I go for long spells and not watch
Mm,
anything.
yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I just, I go through these like droughts where I'm just so busy or I'm distracted or whatever and I'm not watching anything. But
Yeah.
that's how I also feel about book reading, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
You need time to read books, music,
yeah,
movies,
yeah,
series,
yeah,
and if you want to learn new things, yoga or whatever,
yeah, yeah,
you need a
yeah.
life, double life, or I don't know.
Exactly. Exactly. We need a parallel universe.
Yeah, the many. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
Um, no, I really wish I could be there at the
yeah,
festival.
yeah.
But yeah, I didn't plan for it because I do have an artist that's here living with me for the month of October who's doing an artist residency here. And so just yeah, but I really wish that I could be there. Feel sad.
Next time.
Next time, hopefully. I am shooting another film next year, so who knows?